The tale starts with raiders, folks who track down shadow creatures, seek treasures, and shield others. It's risky work, but it earns them fame as heroes and jealousy from others. Being a raider inspires many, but here's something interesting. Just before they meet their end, their hearts race. One day in a cafe, Jae-hyun got upset when asked to be a living shield. He met Jong Woo-min, who clarified it was just leftover work. Jong, working for the raiders agency, provides jobs for freelancing raiders. When Jong approached Jae-hyun, he hoped for work after a long break, but the task Jong offered was perilous, guarding the front lines in a dungeon teeming with undead creatures. Jong Woo-min understood Jae-hyun's perspective well, but options were limited. Jae-hyun, a mid-level D-rank raider among the awakened, was a warrior. Warriors weren't weak, but the demand lately leaned towards magicians. In battles, especially large-scale ones, magicians, with their ability to attack from afar, had the upper hand, leaving warriors like Jae-hyun prone to injuries. Jae-hyun realized this truth 11 years ago, back in middle school, when he scored impressively on the Awakener aptitude test. He entered Mythical Academy, renowned for raider training, with a remarkable magic aptitude of 97%, surpassing even the top magician, So-ina, who scored 92%. This made Jae-hyun one of the most promising awakened. However, his combat aptitude was only 34%. Despite this, he chose to specialize as a combat class raider. Jae-hyun's decision to become a combat class raider wasn't driven by a strong motive. At the time, magicians had a bad reputation. They were mainly support roles, providing buffs, unable to fend off monsters without combatants' help. But times had changed. Combat users were now undervalued while magic users were revered. Jae-hyun wondered if his life would have been better if he had chosen to be a magician. Typically, raiders stopped progressing after age 20, but Jae-hyun knew he couldn't afford to shy away from tough tasks if he wanted to survive. In the quiet, he accepted the job. Jong Woo-min was pleased with his response and scheduled a meeting for the next morning at 8. However, when Jae-hyun arrived at the dungeon entrance the next day, Jong Woo-min was nowhere to be found. Time ticked away, nearing 9 o'clock. As Jae-hyun stood alone at the dungeon entrance, he pondered whether Jong Woo-min would be better off partnering with a more skilled raider, given his own D-rank status as a warrior compared to Woo-min's A rank as a magician. Lost in thought, he was startled by a familiar voice behind him. It was Lee Myung-ho, whom Jae-hyun had encountered several times in the dungeon as a scout. Myung-ho, a combatant, appeared just as a guild member announced to gather at the entrance and enter the dungeon within 30 minutes. The announcement dampened their spirits. On Jae-hyun's old smartphone screen was a photo of him and his mother in happier times, a reminder of his promise to return safely. With resolve, Jae-hyun and the other raiders entered the dungeon, finding a ruin-like setting with eerie green torches adorning the walls. Undead creatures soon emerged, attacking the raiders. The magicians instructed the warriors, including Jae-hyun, to hold their shields steady and maintain their positions. Despite the tense atmosphere, the magicians were nervous, realizing the danger of the reconnaissance mission. As the magicians cast spells, the warriors tirelessly defended the battle line, fending off the relentless monster attacks. As the battle raged on, the magicians unleashed powerful spells, aiming to decimate the undead with their magic. Jae-hyun watched in awe as one magician, proficient in Surtur fire magic, summoned a meteor-like spell that incinerated the monsters in an instant. This magician hailed from the Rising Meteor Guild, showcasing the potential of spell magic to vanquish threats. Jae-hyun couldn't help but feel a sense of reassurance. If magicians could wield such formidable spells, perhaps his fear of death would diminish. After the intense battle, the raiders took a moment to rest and recharge before confronting the boss. Jae-hyun sat on a rock, eager to check the loot from the fallen monsters. However, his anticipation turned to confusion as the interface window system malfunctioned, causing all his powers to vanish suddenly. A notification appeared, stating that the Asir system had crashed, temporarily cutting off the connection with users. Despite feeling disoriented, Jae-hyun heard a guiding sound urging him to follow the light. Nervously, he wondered what was happening and what lay ahead. Jae-hyun found himself in a predicament when his window system encountered an error, indicating that an unknown entity had breached the Asir system. Despite attempts to repair it in safe mode, the system continued to malfunction. He couldn't shake the feeling that the mysterious voice he had heard earlier was somehow connected to this intrusion. As he looked around, he noticed scattered lights with greenish-white rays, seemingly invisible to others. Determined to uncover the truth, Jae-hyun decided to follow the light, despite his inability to access his status window. Having been awakened since the age of 10, Jae-hyun had never experienced such a system crash in his 17 years of awakening. He speculated that the Aesir system might be undergoing significant changes, considering its living system nature rooted in mythology. The term Aesir referred to the Norse gods of Asgard, such as Odin and Thor, serving as the system's foundation. It was believed to be humanity's last beacon of hope amidst despair. The origins of this system traced back to the year 2011, known as the Year of Disaster, when an immense tree called Yggdrasil sprouted in the Pacific Ocean. Within 9 days, it towered into the sky, becoming a symbol of both apocalypse and salvation, mirroring the world tree from mythology. On the 9th day, tragedy struck as the newly grown Yggdrasil tree heralded the arrival of monsters from mythology worldwide. Giants and dragons roamed the earth, unleashing unprecedented disasters. It took time for people to grasp the grim reality that myth had become fact. Half of humanity perished, either at the hands of these monsters or succumbing to disease and plague. In the depths of despair, a glimmer of hope emerged in the form of awakeners, humans bestowed with divine powers, capable of combating the monsters under the guidance of the Aesir system. As Jae-hyun ventured further, he reached a grand gate known as the Treasure Gate among raiders. It was a secret chamber harboring rare treasures, rarely found even in high-level dungeons. Inside lay special and valuable items, worth millions of won at least. Opening the gate, Jae-hyun harbored hopes of obtaining at least A-rank equipment, which could potentially change his life. Within the Treasure Gate, towering pillars adorned the space, with a secret treasure nestled in the center. Approaching it, Jae-hyun laid eyes on a small ball resembling a golf ball. As he reached out to touch it, a blinding light erupted, followed by a sudden notification appearing on his status window. The notification announced that the system's damaged features had been successfully restored, granting Jae-hyun new equipment, Odin's lost eye, enveloped in a radiant golden light. This item was none other than the Eye of Odin, the mightiest god in the Aesir pantheon, sacrificed at the Well of Mimir in exchange for wisdom. Once worn, the user could master rune writing and even reverse magic to dismantle or destroy it. What made it truly astonishing was its mythic rank, a single-use item, equivalent to an S rank, with a market value surpassing hundreds of millions of won. It was an exceedingly rare find, with only one known to exist worldwide. Initially, Jae-hyun contemplated using the item once and then selling it for his survival. However, he discovered that Odin's lost eye bonded permanently with its user upon activation, rendering resale impossible. Forced to reconsider, Jae-hyun resolved to utilize the item for his own benefit. Exiting the Treasure Gate, Jae-hyun returned to the other raider groups, apologizing for his tardiness. Shortly after, the guild members announced the commencement of the raid. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the ruins above them. Jae-hyun narrowly avoided the falling debris, propelled several meters away. In the aftermath, a sinister purple mist enveloped the ruins, catching Jae-hyun off guard. Members of the guild who breathed in the mist coughed and bled from their eyes, indicating its poisonous nature. Inhaling too much meant certain death. Realizing this danger, Jae-hyun hurried to escape the toxic gas. Lee Myung-ho, approaching Jae-hyun, urged him to leave, emphasizing the extreme peril. However, as they attempted to flee, a sword impaled Myung-ho's chest. Stunned into silence, Jae-hyun prioritized his own safety and fled, attempting to regain composure. Amidst the chaos of explosions, spreading poison gas, and sudden deaths, Jae-hyun speculated that these events, while horrific, were not beyond the capabilities of monsters. However, he suspected a dungeon assassin to be the orchestrator. Amidst confusion and unanswered questions, Jae-hyun pushed aside his thoughts, recognizing it as not the time for pondering. Suddenly, an attack struck Jae-hyun's shoulder, lodging into the wall behind him. To his shock, the assailant turned out to be none other than his friend, Jong Woo-min. Surrounded by an electric aura, Wu Min calmly stated that he had kept his promise to meet Jae-hyun that day. However, Wu Min's demeanor had changed drastically from the previous day, emanating an aura of unknown danger with his black hoodie and square glasses. Jae-hyun remained wary, confronting Wu Min sharply about his involvement in the dungeon's chaos. In a calm voice, young Wu Min admitted without any hint of regret on his face. He clarified that the action was at the behest of their clients. He mentioned the widespread dislike for the Meteor Guild, which often belittled other guilds, leading to a generally hostile atmosphere. The term dungeon assassin was coined for those who exploited enclosed dungeons for clandestine operations like assassinations. This particular ambush on the Meteor Guild exploited such blind spots. Facing young Wu Min, Jae-hyun clenched his jaw, radiating a blue aura of mana throughout his body. He knew he couldn't match Jung Woo Min's skills. After all, Jung Woo Min was an A-ranked magician, belonging to the top 2% of talent in Korea. In contrast, Jae-hyun was only a D-rank, neither exceptionally skilled nor notably weak, just average. Moreover, Jae-hyun was unable to access the power of the Aesir system. Jae-hyun found himself in an unjust situation, with no viable options. Deep down, he yearned to seek retribution for those who had fought alongside him, particularly Myung-ho. But pragmatically, Jae-hyun realized his limitations. As the Yggdrasil emerged and Awakeners appeared, the world showed little mercy for the weak, and Jae-hyun found himself at the bottom of that hierarchy. Desperate, Jae-hyun contemplated striking a deal with Wu Min, feigning ignorance about the situation. However, before he could finish speaking, a bolt of yellow lightning surged from Wu Min's arm, closing the gap between them in an instant. Jae-hyun narrowly avoided the deadly strike, sustaining wounds to his arm and cheek. Had he reacted a moment later, he might have perished. Wu Min's attack was swift and unmistakably hostile, far too severe to be dismissed as jest. Observing Jae-hyun's tense expression, Wu Min's smile turned icy as he revealed that the target of their current dungeon raid extended beyond just the Meteor Guild. Suddenly, lightning chains shot forth with alarming speed. It dawned on Jae-hyun that Wu Min, a magician of rank above B, could cast spells without uttering an incantation. Assessing his injuries, Jae-hyun gritted his teeth, pondering his next move in this dire situation. Wu Min's relentless assaults kept Jae-hyun on the defensive. Struggling to evade the onslaught, Jae-hyun's mind raced, contemplating who could have ordered his assassination. One name stood out sharply in his thoughts, sending shivers down his spine and transforming his demeanor in an instant. Noticing Jae-hyun's sudden shift, Wu Min paused his attacks, intrigued by the change in expression. Jae-hyun's gaze hardened as he confronted Wu Min, questioning whether it was indeed his own father who had commanded Wu Min to end his life. Witnessing Jae-hyun's unfamiliar frown, Wu Min chuckled with apparent delight, acknowledging Jae-hyun's astuteness. The revelation left Jae-hyun profoundly disturbed, pondering the possibility of his father sanctioning his own son's death through an assassin's hand. With a hollow gaze, Jae-hyun dared to voice another painful inquiry. Had his father also tasked Wu Min with his mother's demise 5 years prior? Wu Min was taken aback by Jae-hyun's revelation, realizing the truth behind his words. In that moment, Jae-hyun's eyes were clear, his newfound understanding fueling a surge of hatred towards both Wu Min and his father. Trust shattered, Jae-hyun found himself alone in his resolve. With a cold, unwavering demeanor, Wu Min systematically dismantled Jae-hyun's pride. Finally, as Jae-hyun's body went limp, Wu Min ceased his magical assault, withdrawing his power. Suddenly, Odin's lost eye materialized within the interface status window, radiating an overwhelming surge of magic that made the air feel suffocating, causing the ground to quake and crack beneath their feet. Wu Min's expression darkened abruptly as he sensed the potent magic emanating from Jae-hyun's body. Goosebumps prickled across Wu Min's skin as the magic intensified with each passing moment. Reacting swiftly, Wu Min assumed a defensive stance, brandishing his lightning chain in preparation for the impending clash. True to his expectation, mana surged from Jae-hyun's glowing form, his life energy enveloping his weakening body. This time, instead of casting silently, Jae-hyun incanted the spell aloud, intent on delivering a decisive blow. With a swift incantation, Wu Min unleashed his attack, aiming to end Jae-hyun's life. However, Jae-hyun made no attempt to evade the assault, his gaze fixed blankly on the oncoming onslaught. As the lightning chain hurtled towards him, Jae-hyun's left eye suddenly emitted a brilliant golden light, accompanied by a powerful aura. In an instant, Woo-min's attack was neutralized and obliterated. A notification flashed across Jae-hyun's status window, indicating the installation of Odin's Lost Eye, now bound to its user. It became evident that Jae-hyun's left eye was no ordinary human eye. Another notification followed, revealing the presence of a blank card ready for use. Woo-min's expression contorted with bewilderment and frustration as he witnessed his magic being completely nullified and dispersed into the surrounding sand. Stepping forward, Jae-hyun activated the effect of Odin's Lost Eye and utilized the blank card with determined resolve. With a look of horror etched on his face, Jae-hyun vowed to exact the most excruciating revenge upon Woo-min. A status window materialized, notifying him of the acquisition of Woo-min's active skill, Lightning Chain. In a heartbeat, Jae-hyun unleashed the very same Lightning Chain magic mastered by Woo-min, an ability that took Woo-min years to learn, now wielded effortlessly by a warrior. Woo-min's expression contorted in disbelief as he beheld Jae-hyun standing before him. The Lightning Chain, charged with potent magic, surged towards Woo-min at incredible speed, unrelenting in its assault. Though Woo-min attempted to repel the attack with his own magic, Jae-hyun's onslaught proved too swift to counter. Despite Woo-min's valiant efforts to evade, 3 out of 4 lightning chain strikes found their mark, leaving only one final attack to contend with. In a desperate bid for defense, Woo-min conjured a magic shield, but Jae-hyun's utilization of Odin's Eye activated the universal derivation skill, rendering all forms of magic null and void, including Woo-min's shield, which crumbled under the onslaught. Powerless to avoid the inevitable, Woo-min succumbed to Jae-hyun's relentless assault, the final lightning chain strike landing with devastating force. Approaching Woo-min with unbridled hatred, Jae-hyun delivered the fatal blow, ensuring Woo-min's demise. As they both collapsed to the ground, Woo-min succumbed to the overwhelming magic, while Jae-hyun, drained of stamina and magic power, teetered on the brink of death. In his fading moments, a status window emerged, presenting Jae-hyun with the option to run a newly downloaded operating system. With his last ounce of strength, Jae-hyun surrendered to the system's offer, agreeing to run the new operating system. A status window promptly appeared, confirming the activation of the Nornir system. As Jae-hyun's vision blurred, he faintly discerned 3 women clad in white garments. Speaking in an ancient rune language, the blonde woman with a blindfold extended her hand, offering aid to Jae-hyun. A crimson status window materialized, proclaiming Jae-hyun as the challenger of the mighty Aesir, granting him the passive skill, One Watched by the Gods, and the skill, Absolute Eye of God, while alerting him to the scrutiny of opposing deities. As the tightness in his chest dissipated, Jae-hyun's eyes fluttered open, greeted by a sense of profound bewilderment. Rising from the bed, he surveyed his surroundings, realizing he was back in the familiar confines of his childhood home. Examining his hands, a crimson glow indicated the successful reversal of time to his desired moment. It wasn't a dream. His mother was alive. Overwhelmed with emotion, Jae-hyun rushed to embrace her, tears streaming down his cheeks as he held her tightly. On November 15, 2020, the Nornir system brought Jae-hyun back. It seemed like the restriction on non-combat activities had been lifted, and Jae-hyun's body had been successfully restored to 20%. Shortly after, a new quest called Rest is the Mother of Success was automatically created. This quest instructed Jae-hyun to restore his life to 80%, with a blank card as a reward. Jae-hyun sighed, remembering that he hadn't actually died while fighting Woo-min. This was probably due to the new Nornir system. He was already used to seeing Yggdrasil and its monsters, as this wasn't the first time he'd encountered such strange occurrences. From his past experiences, he knew the importance of adapting and quickly assessing the situation. According to the system's information, Jae-hyun was currently in the 3rd year of middle school. The biggest change now was that the system in operation was not the Aesir system, but the Nornir system, which he didn't fully understand yet. Jae-hyun felt a surge of excitement as he looked at the calendar on his desk. The date November 16th was circled, with a small reminder written next to it. Smiling, he erased the note and decided against pursuing a combat class. This was a rare opportunity for him, and he was determined not to repeat past mistakes. Seizing this chance at a new life, Jae-hyun resolved to become a magician. As dinner time arrived, Jae-hyun felt overwhelmed with emotion upon seeing his mother sitting across from him. He almost cried in disbelief, trying to hide his tears by continuously stuffing rice into his mouth. He glanced at his mother, Lee Sonhwa, who had sacrificed her youth for his sake. Noticing her son's unusual behavior and the tears from his earlier hug, Lee Sonhwa felt worried, wondering what was troubling him. Jae-hyun sat back in his chair, pondering as he glanced at the open status window. Despite his level and status being reset, his passive skills remained intact. One such skill, one watched by the god, promised rapid growth, while another, Absolute Eye, granted the ability to see through illusions to perceive reality accurately. Considering his future as a magician, Jae-hyun deliberated over how to allocate his unused status points. Recognizing the importance of agility for dodging attacks, he invested in dexterity. Magic was crucial for a magician, but he deemed endurance as paramount. Unlike strength or magic, endurance didn't boost attack power. Rather, it lessened fatigue during repetitive tasks. With this in mind, he distributed his points, favoring dexterity and magic, while allotting the remainder to endurance. Contemplating his blank card, Jae-hyun deliberated on which skill to acquire. Already equipped with Lightning Chain for offense, he deemed a healing skill essential. In 2020, magicians were often undervalued compared to warriors, but possessing healing spells elevated their status, garnering respect akin to nobility. Deep in thought, Jae-hyun was interrupted by the buzzing of his smartphone. Glancing at the screen, he saw a message from his childhood friend and best friend, Kim Yoo-jung. Memories flooded back of their shared dream to attend Miles Academy together, a dream shattered by Yoo-jung's tragic death in the past. Determined not to let history repeat itself, Jae-hyun refocused on the challenges ahead. Yoo-jung's invitation to a seminar hosted by Saintess Yoo Sun-gyun sparked clarity in Jae-hyun's mind. He recalled the Saintess as a healer specializing in the sacrifice magic. With renewed purpose, Jae-hyun hastily prepared to join the event. After gaining his mother's permission, he dashed out of the house, quickly confirming his attendance with Yoo-jung. Meanwhile, in a black van traversing the streets, Yoo Sun-gyun's secretary and manager, Park Sung-jae, discussed the Saintess's packed schedule. From a raider motivation seminar to a rank B dungeon raid and a base station inspection, their itinerary was hectic. Concerned for Yoo Sun-gyun's deteriorating health, Park Sung-jae hoped for a healer capable of matching the sacrifice spell's potency. Without such aid, the Saintess faced imminent collapse, adding urgency to their situation. In the bustling city center, Kim Yoo-jung enthusiastically dragged Jae-hyun to attend the imminent seminar. Seated amidst the crowd in the square, they observed banners announcing the encouragement seminar by Guildmaster Lotus, Yoo Sun-gyun, focusing on the theme of saving the world and society with healing magic. Attendees eagerly anticipated insights from the esteemed top-grade healer. Unbeknownst to the crowd, in just 2 months' time, Saintess Sun-gyun would face a crisis during a raid dungeon in Itaewon due to penalties associated with her healing skill. Despite this looming challenge, the Saintess delivered a spirited speech at the seminar, rallying aspiring raiders to join the cause and become heroes. Jae-hyun and Kim Yoo-jung, deeply moved by the Saintess's words, strolled through the city afterward. Jae-hyun confided in his friend, revealing his decision to change his class to magician, and seeking Yoo-jung's guidance in mastering the basics of magic. With a sense of purpose, Jae-hyun parted ways with Yoo-jung, intent on pursuing his newfound path. Jae-hyun searched until he found the car carrying Saintess Yoo Sun-gyun, spotting her manager, Park Sung-jae. Approaching him, Jae-hyun requested permission to meet the Saintess, only to be met with a firm refusal, as Park Sung-jae dismissed him as a fanatic. Undeterred, Jae-hyun explained that he sought the guildmaster not for autographs, but to offer a cure for Yoo Sun-gyun's illness. Park Sung-jae's anger flared at the revelation, demanding to know the source of Jae-hyun's information. Before tensions escalated further, a woman emerged from the van, revealing herself to be Yoo Sun-gyun. She queried Jae-hyun about his claim, to which he confidently affirmed his ability to heal her. After a brief deliberation with her manager, Yu Sung-gyun decided to grant Jae-hyun an audience, recognizing the urgency of the situation. They retreated to the privacy of the Yonhwa Guild, Yu Sung-gyun's private office. Though initially skeptical, she listened as Jae-hyun revealed his plan to replicate her sacrifice skill to heal her. Yu Sung-gyun was taken aback by Jae-hyun's bold claim, while Park Sung-jae, struggling to contain his frustration, slammed the table. He emphasized that the skill in question was the guildmaster's unique skill, unattainable to others despite numerous attempts to replicate it. Indeed, unique skills defied imitation, lacking any discernible formula and thus remaining monopolized by their possessors. Despite Sung-jae's skepticism, Jae-hyun remained composed, asserting that he wouldn't have pursued this course if he lacked confidence. He proposed to prove his capability by copying the sacrifice skill and using it to heal Yu Sung-gyun. Intrigued, Yu Sung-gyun challenged him with a simple directive. Then, prove it. With unwavering resolve, Jae-hyun retrieved the blank card he had kept, its surface now radiating a white glow. As Yu Sung-gyun began casting the sacrifice spell, Jae-hyun's card absorbed the essence of the skill, successfully registering it. To dispel any doubts, Jae-hyun flawlessly demonstrated the mastered skill, leaving Yu Sung-gyun and Park Sung-jae stunned and exchanging incredulous glances. Jae-hyun interrupted his healing spell midway, expressing his desire to negotiate. He recited the description of the sacrifice skill, highlighting its ability to heal multiple allies, remove debuffs, and even transform into an attack skill against undead monsters, all without the usual penalty due to its origin from a blank card. Impressed, Yu Sung-gyun smiled at Jae-hyun's boldness, prompting him to state his request from Guild Lotus. Jae-hyun got straight to the point, seeking sponsorship. With lofty aspirations, he recognized the need for financial support, allies, and social connections to realize his dreams, hoping that Yonhwa Guild would lend him aid. After a moment of consideration, Yu Sung-gyun agreed to invest in Jae-hyun, but laid out a condition. If he sought Lotus Guild's support, he must join the guild. Inviting Jae-hyun to join them in the future, Yu Sung-gyun explained her decision to recruit him, citing his ability to access secretive information, his flawless replication of the sacrifice skill, and his composure in front of Guildmaster Lotus. She intended to employ the right of priority negotiation to recruit Jae-hyun, recognizing his potential. In the world of guilds, supporting the development of promising young raider candidates was a common practice. It ensured that the guild would have priority in signing contracts with these candidates once they reached adulthood, a privilege typically reserved for prodigies. While this presented a compelling opportunity for Jae-hyun, he opted not to rush his decision. Instead, he focused on fulfilling his promise to heal Yu Sung-gyun before considering the guild's offer. Standing behind her, Jae-hyun invoked the sacrifice skill, casting a radiant golden aura of mana. The healing energy flowed from him to Yu Sung-gyun, the process continuing for several minutes. With a satisfied expression, Jae-hyun observed as the intended healing took effect, and his passive skill, First Aid Arts, increased to level 19. Nodding in confirmation to Yu Sung-gyun, Jae-hyun instructed her to move a bit. Following his directive, Yu Sung-gyun rose to her feet, testing her regained health with vigorous arm swings and foot stomps. Overcome with emotion, she tearfully expressed gratitude as she realized that all her symptoms had vanished, thanking Jae-hyun profusely for his remarkable feat. Jae-hyun, unknowingly, had elevated his standing with his remarkable actions. Accepting Yu Sung-gyun's business card, he listened as she assured him of her commitment to fulfilling his request, urging him to contact her whenever needed and to review the contract they discussed. Caught off guard by Yu Sung-gyun's offer, Jae-hyun hesitated, scratching his head before summoning the courage to express his immediate request. The following day, he stood before the low-ranked dungeon owned by the Lotus Guild, realizing the importance of leveling up swiftly to thrive in Malias Academy. Meanwhile, in her private office, Yu Sung-gyun reviewed Jae-hyun's profile with intense focus. As she read further, her hand halted, and her lips trembled in surprise. Jae-hyun's desire to pursue the warrior class, despite his remarkable aptitude for magic, left her astounded. Continuing to peruse his profile, Yu Sung-gyun's reactions hinted at deeper emotions stirring within her. Yu Song-gyun was stunned by the revelation that Min Jae-hyun possessed a staggering 97% magic aptitude, an incomprehensible figure. With a voice betraying her disbelief, she instructed Park Sung-jae to arrange an immediate meeting with Jae-hyun after his dungeon expedition. As Jae-hyun stood on the verge of entering the dungeon, he found himself equipped with recovery items and gear lent by the Manhwa Guild, a gesture for which he expressed gratitude. Park Sung-jae, seemingly remorseful for his earlier harshness and grateful for Jae-hyun's healing of the guildmaster, offered him a blue glowing stone from his pocket, a warp stone.